Greetings, YouTube. This is the Garage Autonomist. As the title indicates, this is really about me waiting to fall asleep. Uh, it's been one of those days that now melts into one of those nights, and now it's melting into one of those mornings where I can't sleep. But I just saw that Pure Butterfly Spirit did her stream, and I don't know how I missed it. Must have been when I was writing earlier in the evening, and she was doing it was about sex robots or whatever. Everybody else has been talking about this shit, so I'm gonna leave that to last. First thing I'm gonna talk about is the Women's March. Now, uh, if my wife went to that with my youngest daughter, they went to the one last year. As you all remember, the Women's March of last year was, if anything, a major, massive mobilization across the country that was in protest, really, if anything else, of Trump becoming president. But also because, sorry, but also because it was out of reaction to Trump, to what a lot of women have already predicted and has come to pass, attacks on reproductive rights, abortion, and abortion resources, and things of this nature. And we've already seen these things be signed, that were signed in. This time around, it's that on top of what we're seeing, women taking a huge amount of control in what's going on in the workplace. In other words, finally being able to speak out against the sexual harassment, the bartering of women's careers and their futures in the workplace, which men don't have to do at all in order to survive, in order to move on and move up, that kind of thing. Uh, this idea that some women are game and that's what they're going to work for is bullshit. If they wanted to do that, they would just simply get husbands. But no, for the most part, for the hugest part, women need to work like everyone else does, like men do. And so they shouldn't have to depend on their looks. They shouldn't have to depend on having to put up with bullshit, harassment, and everything else in order to make it in the world. That coupled with everything else, men thinking that they can get away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with simply because they are famous or they have money or they have power or whatever is the situation. And that is why Me Too came about. That is why now Time Is Up has now come about. I love the panic that I'm seeing from all of these Manospherian channels in YouTube claiming the backlash that's happening. There is no backlash, by the way. Hey, is that it's just wow? It's been a while. How you doing? Just want to say hello in the chat room. Is that Etchus is in the chat room? What's up? Wow, gone from one person to six people. What's up, everybody? Whoever's watching. Anyway, like I was saying, um, with the situation with well, with all this is going on with Me Too and Time's Up and everything else, I think that's another reason why a lot of the backlash is real. Okay, Big J Triple X, we'll get to that in a little bit. I believe that is the reason, another reason why a lot of women have come out and mobilized uh, this past weekend. Now, had my wife have asked me, you know, would you go to the march? I would have just said yes. But she knows that I don't typically participate in what I like to call big tent marches. Now, what do I mean by big tent? I typically mean marches that are 9 times out of 10, well, 9 times out of 10, they are usually always organized by a labor union slash NGO slash not, huge nonprofit slash what else? I think that's it. Organization. Joel McGee. Hey, peace, Joel McGee. I've never seen you before. Thank you so much. Joel McGee says, finally happy to hear you live. Your stuff is great. Wow, thank you so much for that, Joel. Um, I normally those are usually the things I don't participate in. I will be honest with you. It's been a while since I've actually participated in the types of political actions that I normally would get involved with, especially during my youth. Ones that would make sure that what you call interrupting business as usual. In other words, the stuff that everyone hates. Traffic being stopped, people's day in the shopping malls being interrupted in some way, that sort of thing. That's what I normally was about. uh Occupy Wall Street, although it was a very stationary and centered situation, it was definitely enough to get the attention of people, to get them to talk about politics and see what was going on and that was under the Obama administration. So there was nothing that Obama would have supported or would have been behind, uh, as the Republicans would have had it. Anyway, so that's what I mean by big tent. Now, like I said, my wife and my youngest daughter went. My oldest daughter spent Friday night at her friend's house in Brooklyn making signs. So they went. Of course, she just did, they did their own thing because, my oldest daughter is trying to get the hell out of here. She's whatever little time she wants to have to herself and not with us. So you know how that goes. Now, is that it just says, I can't go to the Women's March. I'm too triggered by pussy. Yeah, I mean, that's just like that's the thing about the big tent actions is that they're so full of symbolism. But again, I just want to stop right here. I don't want to get into this thing where I want you guys to think that I'm throwing shade at the women's march or any of the big tent marches, even if they're the ones that's dealing with racism or like last year immigration, because and the reason why I'm not against that is because there are so many people out here who are apolitical, people who've never really been to demonstrations before, they've never been to marches before, but whatever has what's the word? Mobilized them, has inspired them to get out there in the streets and to talk to people and just to feel some form of connection that they're not the only ones. I'm all behind that. So, I don't want you all to think that because I say big tent that and big tent that and it's all connected to Democratic Party bosses and blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, that's how I feel, but I don't ever want you to think that I'm putting that stuff down, because I do believe in the end of the day that if you've never been involved in any kind of a march or any kind of a demonstration, uh, that if something like this was enough for you to get out there and get involved, I'm all for that. Believe me, Because who knows? You might actually become radicalized at some point. You can always look back at the first, like I did, your first demo was some big tent type of thing, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I remember. The first time my first political action was this sort of thing, but now I'm about something else." So you know, now is that Etcha says I was only joking. Loads of trans people were saying, excuse me, that the pussy hats were transphobic. Really? And also white allies saying they were racist. I don't generally dig marches slash demos without focused goals that only exist to make liberals feel good. Thank you. Is that that's a very good point. Um, but that's the thing. Is that again, I see it for what it is. Is that Etcha sees it for what it is, but at the same time, I can't say I don't want to anyway say that it has no use. A lot of people, like everybody else, most people start off as liberals before they become radicals or revolutionaries, or they just simply stay liberals. But you got to start from somewhere. So I feel like, again, if there's young people out there, I mean, although my daughter, I believe, was politicized simply because in the household she grew up in, which is a lucky thing. I mean, I wish I grew up in a house that that my daughter grew up in. I didn't. I had to do that hard work of becoming politicized and becoming even and more so becoming radicalized. But a lot of people don't have that luxury, if you will. And I think that again, these actions are needed, but they also have to be seen for what they are. So, in the end of the day, I think that it was a huge mobilization as it was last year. I don't, I think it's a good thing. You again, hopefully where women are going to go from here. Now, I've seen women like, say, for instance, my wife, for instance. I'm not going to go into too much detail about who she is, what she does, but she was conveying to me when we had dinner the night before, that was Friday night, that there were women who wanted to talk about a woman at her job was talking to her specifically about creating a uh what was it? Not panel is not the word I want to use, but she wanted to get together so they could talk more about recruiting more and doing recruiting more for women of color and for people of color, and also then talking about the people who are already working for them to help them reach their career path. Now, I thought that was very, very important when my wife brought that up. It's obvious that this whole Me Too thing is raising some level of consciousness, even though we're talking about, i.e., white collar women. What we're also, I think that this is, if there's a lot of them that their political consciousness is such that they want to do a reach down to those who are quote unquote below them, that's a good thing too. So I think this Me Too thing is really might actually trigger another wave of feminism. Feminism. So we'll see. I mean, that's just what I think. Okay. Now, yesterday, wow, not even yesterday, because yesterday is Monday. So I should say Sunday, I had the great pleasure, and I've never believed that I could ever say this. I had the great pleasure of going to O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel because on his channel at around 1 p.m. Sunday, he hosted my man New Possibilities. As they did an interview. I really wouldn't want to call it a debate. The whole interaction was great. I will say this. See, the thing is that I don't often talk about O'Shea. I have called him a coon. I do think he is. I don't think he's changed his, leopards don't change their spots overnight, but I don't really want to get into this thing insulting him. I will say this. I know for a fact that since March of last year, O'Shea Duke Jackson has been trying to distance himself from the lowlifes, the dreck, the would-be rapists of the Black manosphere, and trying to make his channel and his platform. Hey, what's up, NX? Damn, how you doing, sister? Ah, this is too good. She's saying hello to BJ Triple X. Cool. But O'Shea invited new possibilities on, and the conversation was, I have to say, man, it was beautiful to behold. I mean, O'Shea, there was a couple of things that O'Shea said that I really didn't honestly believe that he thought. Like, I do think that the man is not as twisted and is not as embittered as so many other guys out there. And I will give him this. One of the things that I noticed in the direction of his channel is that if you're talking about trying to be about the quote unquote Black manosphere, thank you so much, Annex. Y'all, man, if you get a chance, go on ahead and subscribe to Annex. Her channel is the shit for real. First of all, she used to be called Slave No More, which I loved that channel title. Too bad she didn't keep that one or go back to it. I know that she's been flagged and terminated so many times by all these damn Kunospherians out there, but I gotta say, man, her channel is one of the most creative channels out there. You've got to listen to her. You got to watch her channel. Man, them stories that she them stories that she tells about her life. Also, because she also and part of the thing, and I hate to say this, part of the reason why I like her channel is because she has an uncanny resemblance to my mother. So that's partial, I guess. But other than that, awesome channel. You gotta watch her. She's one of the most intelligent sisters out there doing her stuff, doing her thing, and she's raw and rough and rugged, and you just can't. NX says she's never been flagged, but she went on vacation several times. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Thank you for correcting me on that. Is that Etcha says that they subscribed? Cool. Yes, she was, NX. She was. She passed away years ago, but yes, she was. All right, so going back to what I was saying, if you guys get a chance, go on over there to O'Shea's channel and check out the debate. Uh, I only have one criticism, but it's not really aimed at O'Shea because sometimes you can't really control your most how shall I put this, your most ardent supporters. But the thing about O'Shea was that in his chat room, all right, there was a couple of people in there who was definitely about repressing those who were in the chat room who obviously were there to support new possibilities. Now, I'm not stupid. I knew that I was blocked by O'Shea probably a whole year ago. And granted, it's nobody else's fault but mine. I mean, I've trolled him many times. I troll a lot of people, but I went in there with another account that I knew was not blocked by him, able to just at least say hello to the new possibility supporters in the chat room. And then at some point, when O'Shea and New Possibilities was talking about the nonviolent offenders who are currently incarcerated, I wanted to post the exact numbers versus the violent uh, 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 people incarcerated. to drive home the point of what New Possibilities was making. And damned if that post in the chat room was not already hidden. And it had to have been hidden by one of O'Shea's supporters. And unlike this person who I'm about to say, I can actually use the word conjecture. So I will say that it's conjecture on my part, but I believe this piece of shit was the one who hid my comment, and that was a dude by the name of Junk Pile Video. Junk Pile Video is a white male who, for some reason, heavily embeds himself in the black sector, but he likes to embed himself with the black conservative faction of the black sector. And he is uneducated, he is unintelligent. He seems to get a lot of his information from the Alex Jones. He regurgitates a lot of Alex Jones. When you hear his opinions about things, he doesn't know what he's talking about half the times. He's anti-feminist. He's anti-Black Lives Matter. He's anti-Antifa. He's all the things that people who are about humanity are for. He's against those things. So he was in the chat room, and the minute that I saw that he was in the chat room, that's the minute I realized that my words were hidden. When I tried to put the stats in there, so that's the only thing. I don't blame O'Shea for that. It is what it is, but I think that next time anyone who's progressive is ever invited to conservative channels, you got to keep in mind that as much as you want your supporters to be there, they're probably going to be, hidden. Now, what's next? I'm going to go ahead and read the chat before I get on to my next subject matter. My sleep aids are beginning to kick in finally. But let me just go ahead and go up a little bit. Is that Etches? No, no, no. NX says your mom was extremely beautiful. Yeah, I had answered that one. Said she was. NX says, hey, this is not my show, it's yours. That's fine, NX. Believe me, the way I run my chat room, I let the people in the room run the show. That's how I feel because I'm very appreciative of my supporters. NX says sorry for your loss. Thank you, NX. That's fine. She passed away in May of 2001, so that was a while back. Pure Butterfly Spirit, what's up, Pure Butterfly Spirit? You were the inspiration of the last and next subject matter of tonight's chat, so I'll get to that in a little bit. Annex says, haha, laughing at an admitted troll. Yes, I am definitely an admitted troll. I have no problem admitting to that. Let's see, John Paul. She says, stupid fuck. NX says that. Ignorant and married to black women, go figure. John Paul. Is she talking about? Is she talking about Junk Pile Video? I don't think John Paul is his real name. Is that his real name? Did somebody dox that guy finally? That's interesting. Big J Triple X says hello to NX. Oh, okay, I get it now. She was saying hello to him. Okay. See, is that Etcha says nothing happier than a stupid white man surrounded by a load of self-hating black men. Yeah, is that Etcha? And I've always suspected for a very long time that a lot of these self-hating black men are monetarily is monetary. Oh, anyway, they're backed up by money by a lot of these stupid white males, if you ask me. Now, I know for a fact that Junk Pile Video doesn't earn a great deal of money. I just know he doesn't. I'm okay. I'm gonna guess he doesn't. Let me just say that. That'll be nicer for me to say that. he ain't shit. And he ain't making shit. But see, these dudes, you'll be surprised what they will put their money behind. And I can see them putting money behind a lot of these dudes. Oh wow, I got a thumbs down. Who the hell does that? Anyway, but yes, definitely Junk Pile Video is one of those guys. Pure Butterfly Spirit says, I think Junk Pile has anger issues from his gathering. He says he was homeless. I think that at the age of 16, living on the streets, so he projects his own life story to others. Well, I do know that. Well, you actually, Pure Butterfly Spirit, you and I both know this about him. He told us both in his last appearance on your live stream that his father was quote unquote extremely liberal. Um, and I've encountered this a lot with people of my generation too. People who've had parents who were how shall I say reckless in their parenting. They then decide that they want to be super conservative, and therefore you have the likes of Junk Pile Video. But the thing about him, he also mentioned that his mother was abusive, and that the fact that he said that in his latest video, one of his latest videos, I think one of the last two, he said that his mother was abusive and that he had to get legal emancipation. He was able to get it or look for it so that he wouldn't be under her care. But see, I get a little confused about this guy because on one end, he had to fight for legal emancipation from his mother, but he always talks about moving and bouncing around between California and Portland with his father. So he needs to get his story straight. But then again, he's not important enough for us to care about. Let me move on. Annex says that is that etches? We too true. Pew Butterfly Spirit says, oh, cool. Big J Triple X says, Junk Pile is pissed that Angry Man is kicking his ass. Okay, Big J Triple X, you got to clarify this for me. Junk Pile Video made a video, I think on Saturday, asking if Angry Man was mad at him. But I went to Angry Man's channel, which is now, because he's been shut down a couple of times, but his latest channel is called Angry Man Channel 2. And none of those videos are making any reference, or his last three anyway, make any reference to Junk Pile Video. So was there something that happened somewhere else that I'm not aware of? You're gonna have to clarify that for me. Pure Butterfly Spirit says, something my phone changed my word. Oh. I think she's talking to us from the phone. Big J Triple X says John Paul equals Veganator 2.0. Yeah, now that one I know. I know his name. She NX says fuck John Paul. He just another wigger. Yep. I feel for his family. I don't think he is very stable, says NX. Is that Etcher says sounds like he's full of shit, like as a long sad tale. Okay, move on. All right, NX. I never flag anyone, no matter how bad I think their channels are to me. I don't thumbs down either. Oh, I know you don't, NX. I know you don't. But I know other people have always been gunning for you, which is really fucked up because if people can't figure out from NX that people just love to say, "Oh, she hates black men." Bullshit. NX is about the black community, but she's not about the fuckery that she sees out of black men. I've seen her criticize black women too, which is another thing that people miss out on. But believe me when I tell you, she's probably the most objective person I've seen on YouTube. Big J Triple X says, Angry Man have been roasting O'Shea. Now that much I knew. And I knew that he's been roasting Obsidian. Yep, I know. And oh, okay, I get it. And he said he can jump pile in a hangout. Okay. So in a hangout. I gotta look that one up. BJ Triple X says, I love it. I believe it was a BGS hangout. Okay. I'll check that out. All right, y'all. So I'm caught up in the chat and I'm caught up on the earlier subject matters I brought up. So now I'm gonna get to sex bots. So probably when I was writing earlier in the evening, Pure Butterfly Spirit did a live chat, and you're welcome, NX. Pure Butterfly Spirit did a live chat about sex bots, or as we all know, there's this thing about the sex robots and sexual AI and all this shit. Here's what I feel about all this stuff, y'all. Straight up. If there are dudes out there that want to have sex with some goddamn plastic pussy, my opinion is let them do it. I think that the more there are messed up dudes out there taken out of the dating pool to where they would cause harm and further objectification of women, let them. Let them have sex with a goddamn watermelon. Let them do it with a mannequin, their hand, whatever it takes. I don't think that we should be talking about this for too long because that's the point. These dudes are so stuck in their own vision of self importance that when we talk about the fact that they want to have sex with robot women, that they think that we care that they want to have sex with robot women. We should make sure we should treat them like Lamar Wills. Some of you may know who this guy is. This dude is named this dude named LA. Lamar Wills of Benton Harbor. We should treat them like them. Ignore them. Ignore. Who cares? Now NX says, let them do it. I say that two cannot give STD to plastic. True. You can't give STD to plastic, and you can't catch STD from plastic. Not that I'm aware of. Phoenix Chastain Phoenix says, "Oh hi, GA. Male sex bots are already here for women. Sex drives don't exist, but men, but men and gramps." Oh, okay. Big J Triple X says none of these men are gonna buy it. Well, first of all, these things are damn expensive. I mean, well, I guess if you don't have a wife and you don't have kids, and if you happen to be, if there are a lot of geeks, then they're probably in IT. Um, and if they're about to do the next certification that I'm going to go for, if they make anything in the like 125K area, they could probably afford these damn things. Um, Big J Triple X. Oh no. Is that Etcha says they'll beat the shit out of their sex dolls and then move on to real women. Same way they watch porn and then act out their porn on real women. Well, there's definitely NX says Garage Autonomous. How do you know about watermelons? Okay. I because NX, I used to live in Texas. I had some friends who also worked on oil rigs, offshore oil rigs. And the common joke was dudes making girlfriends with watermelons. So that's where I got that from. Phoenix Chastain says they're not made out of plastic. You should see the male bodies, veins, and everything. Oh man, they're about $6,000 to $10,000. Damn. Annex says, "Who's going to admit that they use sex toys before?" Some people will. I mean, there's dudes that are doing straight out are like interviews with their sex dolls, so they don't care. One of them was actually a brother too. On top of it, I saw that one. That was an old ass video, by the way. Phoenix says, "I say there should be sex robot brothels." Hmm. NX says, "Sure, I got a friend, right?" It's coming, and you know it to sorry, and you know it do get over it. That's what Phoenix says. Pure Butterfly Spirit says the brothels on the way, Phoenix. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a sex doll brothel. But then my feeling is, why on earth would you want to be in a public, well, semi-public place to have sex with a doll when you could do that in the privacy of your own home? That's weird. Annex, I let my husband watch porn, have a collection of nude mags until he is just bored with it all. Well, it's interesting. My wife never had a problem when she and I first got together. She knew that I used to watch slash consume porn, and then until I got to a point in my life where I politically or real personally, it started off personally before it became political. Where I just really just didn't like it anymore. It just didn't appeal to me. And actually, in a lot of ways, it even affected sex to some degree. Going back to is that Etches had said something about people that the dangers with these men and the sex dolls is that they would act out their worst fantasies with the dolls, and then they would put that on the women. That's a very feasible viewpoint. Um, but I'm wondering how many of them would be that way versus, say the majority. Or well, would they be the majority? I don't know. I don't know if all of them are like that. Let's see. Going back to the chat room, damn y'all, you got to understand this is the most I've ever had watching me do a live show, by the way. 11 people. Very proud of that. Phoenix Chastain says there will be virtual reality places where you can experience all kinds of AI experiences because they rent the boys GA. Too expensive to be owned, to own and maintain, so they rent. Gotcha. Phoenix says boys equal bots. Sorry. Oh, you meant bots. I got you. Is that Etcha says, like, if we're gonna give sex dolls or sexist dudes, why not? Or gives sex doll, I guess, two sexist dudes. Why not give child sex dolls to pedos? Great show, by the way. Thank you, NX. Phoenix Chastain says, like, if you have an outer space fantasy, you could be an astronaut. Okay, so Phoenix is referring to virtual reality type places. That's actually not such a bad idea in that case. Um, Virtual reality AI type hubs for people to go to. Yeah, why not? One, I can see people doing that because now, of course, this is the IT, the IT professional part of my real life coming out. I would probably see people willing to pay either a door fee or a account fee to go to a place rather than use their own broadband at home for that sort of thing. Because I can only imagine that a virtual reality situation would be huge overhead on a broadband on your home network. I just can't imagine that being very good. So you'd have to go to some place that's better equipped for that sort of thing. Annex says, I see nothing wrong with porn personally, as long as you don't get weird about it. Hold on. I gotta go up now. This is a very active chat room, probably the most active chat room I've ever had. Annex says, I see nothing wrong with porn personally, as long as you don't get weird about it. I told my husband after watching, don't look at me. Phoenix Chastain says, it's a great idea. You'll make bank, dude. Give me 5%. Okay. The Kardashians sort of look like wax figures. They sure do. They don't look real at all. Annex says, Phoenix, yeah, I would invest. Angry Bastards. Oh man, Angry Bastards, what's up? Damn. It's been a while. Angry Bastards says they already have them. So they already have these AI slash virtual reality quote unquote brothels or meeting places or buildings. Interesting. I didn't know that. Annex says they're not real, the Kardashians. Well, there's nothing real about any of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't even watch that show. I can't. I just can't um watch that shit. Is that it just says they're lizard people? Okay, so I want to say this: if any of you do not have HBO or cable, which believe me when I tell you, I don't blame you. The amount of money wasted on that shit is incredible. But if you do not have HBO, I strongly suggest you go on the internet and seek out videos to a TV show called Westworld. Okay. If there's any of a TV show that tells you that I think is really good about talking about everything from AI to sex robots to really educating you on prostitution in terms of it being dehumanizing, that's the show. And I'd always wanted to do an episode on this channel in terms of being a review of Westworld, but I felt like it got so late in the game and the show had already ended. This stuff, season one had already ended, that I didn't feel like that I felt like I couldn't do it because I had already done 2 episodes of a season review of Insecure season one, of course, and looking at how much work went into that, I was actually almost scared to do, like, not scared, but I was just like really lazy. Just I didn't really want to do one on Westworld, but now I think I should. Um See, the thing about Westworld is that you could talk about, oh, people, human beings are evil, and or men have this inherent thing about objectifying women or objectifying things and dehumanizing. There's a dehumanizing nature in them. You can say all that stuff you want. I think that has more to do with Western culture. To As soon as you realize that something is not you, if they're not a male, if they're not a human, then you immediately abuse it. But the way I see it, a lot of the dehumanizing things that went on in that show to the quote unquote robot women who particularly were prostitutes, the stuff that we saw, men walking into the bar, not even going upstairs with these women, but just point blank shooting them in the head. I mean, just all kinds of crazy shit like that. It's not that far fetched from how real life works with people who are sex workers and everything else. And so I think that, like, it's a legitimate concern, I think, when people do bring up the sex robot stuff, and they're like, well, will this further objectification? That's some of the sources that Pure Butterfly Spirit was reading in her last uh live show. But how do I put this, man? It's like I think that the problem with I think the problem with a lot of this stuff is that you can't. I think it's too early to say that it's all going to be about dehumanizing. I'm still saying if you give these weird, dysfunctional weirdos a way out to where they don't interact with real live human being women or people or men, whatever, let them just move away, move on, go away, like do your own thing. So that's how I feel. Anyway, I need to catch up on the chat. Holy shit, this is an active chat room. Okay, Phoenix says lots of women watch porn. I mean, come on. It's the same idea when it comes to virtual reality, which is kind of what porn is. It can let people experience the past, the future. We're humans. NX says Netflix. Sorry, Monique. Oh, right. Yeah. In other words, NX says that she uses Netflix and that she's sorry about Monique. Before I read on in the chat, I got to say, here's the thing about Monique, right? And the Netflix thing. And just in case no one knows what I'm talking about, Monique is on a quest to get people to divest or to simply boycott Netflix because she asked for more money for her comedy special or a comedy special when she knew that what's that girl's name? Sarah. God, I just said her name earlier today. When she knew that between Dave Chappelle and Sarah, whatever her name is, Sarah had negotiated for more money and she got it from Netflix to do her comedy special. Monique wanted more money and they wouldn't give it to her. So now she's saying, I want to boycott Netflix. Now, here's the thing Sarah Silverman. Now, here's the thing Dave Chappelle went down as a legend because he had the hottest comedy show and it was on Comedy Central. And on pure principle alone, he walked away from that show. He then laid low for years. What was it, like 8, 10 years, something like that? Began to do stand up in small venues, sold out crowds everywhere he went. He then did the Block Party movie, which, was downloaded, pirated, beyond numbers that you can count. And then later on, and then of course, people rented it and paid money for it as well. So you got him. Then you got Sarah Silverman. I'm not a huge fan of her at all. Matter of fact, I don't think she's funny at all. She fits into that sort of comedy that particularly white women, I think, do this thing where they uh, need to be sort of like assholes like men in a way to get to compete. It's kind of hard to explain, but anyway, in terms of why I don't like her, but I don't like her. But either way, she's a huge ticket. Monique, who, I don't want to say she's talentless. I never liked any of her stand up. I never thought she was funny, but she definitely has acting chops. She's been in a couple of, we all remember her from the Precious film. But the thing is that her stand up is really just not that great. I mean, if I had to choose between her and Sarah, I would probably would sit through Sarah, and even then, wouldn't really. I would be hate watching it. But that's because Monique hasn't really been that relevant in terms of her stand up in years. So I can understand why Netflix gave her or offered her what they offered her. Now, here's the thing where I find a little bit of conflict in myself is that Monique is correct about something. Black women are often devalued across the board about whatever the fuck is going on. Like, in other words, just like white male, black male, or white male, female, then black male, then black woman. It's like no matter what, and I understand it. Also, she's been struggling for quite some time now with what she believes to be a form of blacklisting of her in Hollywood. And maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I just think that she's definitely talking about something that's real. It's just that it just doesn't apply to her because I just don't think she's funny. All right, that's all I got to say about that. Let me go back into the chat room. Pure Butterfly Spirit says, I've watched midget porn before Phoenix. It was funny as hell. Wow, you're a braver person than me, Pure Butterfly Spirit. I couldn't look at that. Is that Etcha says that Handmaid's Tale, one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. Thank you, is that Etchus. I'm planning on watching that. This is how pathetic my life is. My plan is to be able to sit down and watch Handmaid's Tale this coming summer. That's how bad my life is. Phoenix Cheston says loneliness is a plague. It costs us millions, and Westworld is predictive. The old one too. Yep, the old one. Yeah, I agree. And X says I always wanted to. And X says he always wanted to do a midget. That's hilarious. Uh, my mother, for some reason, had a thing about paraplegic men. Believe me, you don't want to know about that conversation. Pure, pure butterfly spirit laughed at that. Phoenix, no, she laughed at Phoenix. Phoenix says that I bet for the first time I had internet, I locked myself up and watched all kinds of stuff to get over it quick. All right. Pure Butterfly Spirit says that NX, if you watched them, you might not want to. Uh, let's see here. Phoenix says, oh no, wait, shit. Hold on. Damn it. That scroll is just weird. All right, let me see here. Phoenix says that the UK just appointed a minister of loneliness. It really is a serious problem. Wow. That's crazy. I thought Japan would be the country that would do something like that, if any of them. Uh-oh. Okay, a real conversation is happening. The farther I get, but I missed the where it begins. Is that Etcha says, God, I hate this thing. I really wish I had my mouse. Okay. Is that Etcha says, interesting to talk about how non-white women are treated in Westworld. Like the brothel, the madam gets the worst shit, mostly from white men. Interesting. Good point. That's very true. I noticed that too, is that etches. And X says, pure butterfly spirit, what I want him for, I might. Phoenix Chastain says the UK just appointed. All right, I just read that part. Minister of Loneliness. Angry Bastard says, come on. What do you think of Free State Jones? Okay, Angry Bastards. Thank you so much for that. I saw Free State Jones and I thought it was the best movie ever. I mean, this movie transcends class. I mean, not transcends. This movie took class struggle in terms of the truth and a historical truth that no one ever talks about, but it's been the truth since the dawn of humankind, really, when it comes to warfare, when it comes to war. Rich people decide that they're going to fight over resources against other rich people. And who winds up fighting? It's the poor. So Free State of Jones, which was the main character, I'm forgetting his name already, but played by Matthew McConaughey, is a Southern foot soldier, of course, for the Confederacy. He realizes that the only people, I think, no, actually, he was a doctor, if I'm not mistaken. He was a medic. He realizes that all of these white Southern young men, blah, 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 were fighting for nothing more than a bunch of plantation owners. He comes upon some black slaves. Uh, I would even call them maroons because maroons are maroons. I don't care what you think. Escaped slaves are resistors no matter what. And they form a resistance movement. So I thought it was a very good movie. It's very much real history. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It was on regular cable. Um, I think it was Stars when I saw it. But everyone else, all my friends, and including Angry Bastards himself, had told me, and I think it was like last year, he was like, "Have you seen Free State Jones?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And so on Angry Bastards suggestion alone, I went out and looked for it. So if you get a chance, please watch Free State Jones. I've never done an official review. I really should. Uh, let's see here. Give me a second, y'all. Right, is that it just was helping me with Silverman. Because I couldn't because I'm so lame, I couldn't remember Sarah Silverman's name. Hold on here. Thank you. Okay, finally I can get the scroll thing right. I don't have my mouse, y'all. Sorry. Phoenix says, "Don't get mad at me, but I support Monique. I would never get mad at you, Phoenix, for anything." Um, but she is slammed, and that's not right. Yeah, people are slamming her and they're making fun of her. I get that part. It's not nice, but the idea that everybody should boycott Netflix because she couldn't, she didn't get the deal that she wanted. Like I said, I mean, I'm conflicted. On one hand, she brings up a very valid thing. Unfortunately, she's attaching it to her particular situation in her career. I mean, I hate when people try to do that. It's a form of manipulation, in my opinion. And X says, I hate when people don't call on you till they need something. That was okay, right? Exactly. What she has done before. Okay, what has she done before this for Black folks? Good question, NX. Little Wing. I've never seen you before, but welcome. Interesting to boycott Netflix over a large sum of money, right? NX says, at Phoenix, I ain't mad at you. Got family like Monique. That is why we don't speak at all about them. Right. Is that Etcher says Sarah Silverman is one of the biggest female comedians still alive. Makes sense why she would be paid more. Exactly. I mean, whether I like her or not, or we like her or not, the fact remains is that she's the biggest ticket right now in terms of female comedians. Anyway, if you had to compare her to Monique, I mean, most people would think of the late '90s when it comes to Monique. Unfortunately, they would also start thinking of BET and shit. And X says Monique better take that 50,000 K. It was 50,000. I thought it was less than that. And learn to live like the rest of us. Wow. 50K, really? Um anyway, I wish I'd please. I mean, granted, I make more than 50K, but still, I mean, that's 50K just to tell jokes and all in one sum. She needs to get over herself. Monique's been in comedy for decades. Her talent also crosses into dramatic acting. Granted, but Monique is opinionated and catches that uppity black woman stereotype. Very good point, Phoenix. NX says, I love the comedy show she had. I forgot which one that was. Pure Butterfly Spirit says that Monique has tons of talent. Oh wow, Geo Neil UK. Sorry, I'm just now catching up to you. Sarah Silverman's act is idiotic bigotry equals funny. Got you. I agree. That's why I don't like her. Phoenix Chen says impressions that performance was easily competitive to De Niro. Why should she devalue that just because of the Lee thing? Yeah, yeah. Sorry. NX says she is right, but don't wait till you need something to come hollering for help. Agreed. Is that Etcha says, oh shit, hold on. Is that Etcha says, the scroll has a mind of its own. Gosh darn it. Damn. Okay, is the Etcha says, I don't like Silverman's comedy, but makes sense why she's highly paid. Outside of us, most people know her. Outside of the US, sorry, people know her. Monique, not so much. NX says, Sarah Silverman, that bitch said if Germany had black people, the Jews would have never suffered. Something to that effect. Well, in a lot of ways, NX, she was right. In other words, I think what she was really trying to say is that I mean, and what she's really trying to say is that people will always hate probably black people more than they'll ever hate the Jews. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, that kind of like that's her way of throwing a big FU sign to even her own people when people sort of try to make the Holocaust seem that it was the only form of Holocaust that has ever existed, which we all know it's not. But anyway, and X says, my mom loved skinny man like Prince. Okay. Phoenix Chastain says, Sarah's point with that joke is how bigoted people are, not how they're not. How they're not. Sarah's kind of got that absurd humor, I guess. Well, yeah, I agree. NX, that joke. It comes across my skin. It comes across my skin the wrong way. I got you. Oh, Elisa Kalma, hello, welcome. Sorry, I'm just now getting to you. I have nothing clever to say. Actually, you always have something clever to say, Elisa. I love the comments that you leave in Jenny Kiss's channels and her videos, and on Twitter as well. I think I have you on Twitter. And X says, "Hey, you got 12 watching. Good job. Thank you very much." She says, "I am just happy black men and black women can chat without hating each other." Yeah, well, you're definitely going to find that here, NX. There's no black men versus black women stuff as much as people think. It's because I speak out on patriarchy and the sexism, they think that I'm hating on my own gender or whatever, which is bullshit. I just hate. It's like saying white people shouldn't hate on police brutality. You see what I'm saying? Like, no. NXS slamming is name calling. Calling out the bullshit is something else. Phoenix Chastain says, of course, and I wouldn't count as a Sarah fan, but I think she has that kind of humor where you scratch your head at first and then you get shocked. I think Mo is funnier. Personally, she is more direct. Hmm. Butterfly Spirit says she is a poster child for feminist equal pay topic. Monique should have backing to the boycott. Interesting. Okay. Let's see here. I think I'm at the bottom. So NX says, oh, for Monique, it was 500,000 K, but she took $50 more. Is that it just says lots of black people died in the Holocaust too. I think is that Etchus was referring to I guess the Ethiopians that were in Germany at the time, something like that. But then again, the Germans also occupied northern Africa, so God knows what they did to those people. Well, y'all, this was great. One, I've got 12. I had 12 watching me at one point. And now I'm running low on battery on my laptop, and finally the sleep meds are kicking in, so I'm gonna go to bed. But first, I want to go ahead and read. I love the fact that I can read the chat room more than me having to talk. So Geo Neil UK says, I'm white. Saying that some white people do bad stuff isn't me hating my race. Right, exactly. If anything, it's loving my race as I believe they can do better. Thank you, Neil GK. So Neil UK. And I feel the same way as a man. I feel that men can do better. And so therefore I point out patriarchy, and that's the reason why I do it. I'm sorry, misogyny, and that's why I do it. Annex says no, Monique took a gig for 50,000 before. The Netflix deal was 500K. Oh wow, I didn't know that part. So Phoenix Chesney says, "Oh, sorry, Etchus, I didn't know." NX is plugging in. Uh, okay. Is that Etchus says, "What sleep meds are you on?" Not serious ones. Is that Etchus? It's just regular old melatonin. But I know that's lame, right? But it's not like I'm not an insomniac at all. Believe me. If I was, I believe that I would have somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 videos on this channel. If that were the case, no. I'm just I just had one of those nights where once it's 11 o'clock, if I'm not in bed, I know it's going to be one of them nights. But I'm starting to get there now, so I'm probably going to go ahead and shut down. Let me read these last few comments. Geo Neil UK says, exactly. Our Jenner can do better than Paul Elam. You could say that again. Phoenix Chastain says, Neil, way better. And is that Etcher says, my doctor prescribed my Ambien once, and I lost my fuck. Oh, my doctor prescribed my Ambien once, and I lost my fucking mind. They prescribed or they didn't prescribe. I'm not sure. Pure Butterfly Spirit says, eat turkey garage or certain YouTuber vids will knock you right out away. Yeah, you're right about that. Annex says, damn, you're older than me. I go to bed after 3. Yeah, well, yeah, and I wish yeah, I'm not older than you, but you're right. I do get my ass in the bed But my mother was, again, I'm not trying to like always try to connect you with my mom, but my mother was a night owl like you would not believe. Um, it had a lot to do with the fact that she used to always love choosing working the what they call the graveyard shift when she used to work, when she was working. So she used to always love that. And believe me, as a kid, I loved it. I was able to watch all the adult oriented TV shows like Soap and Saturday Night Live because she worked so late. Uh, let me see here. Last comments is that it just says they prescribed Ambien. Oh shit! Hold on. Okay, they prescribed Ambien. It didn't make me sleep. I just rang this dude I liked 50 times and went out in the snow naked. Oh shit. And Nick said, but then I work from home. G O'Neill UK says Dick Coughlin recommends Peter Sweden as an insomnia cure. I'll look that person up. Phoenix Cheston says old people rock. Well, I agree 100% on that one. Old people rock. But you ain't OGA. Thank you. Uh, NX says, I love being connected with your mom. We are all connected. Thank you, NX. Thank you. Uh, Pure Butterfly Spirit laughs at is that etches about naked in the snow, and NX is a love. All right, okay. All right, y'all. So thank you so much for coming. This was friggin' awesome. I want to thank you all. And X, huge special guest, Pure Butterfly Spirit, Phoenix, um, Angry Bastards, definitely. Who else did I not think? There was Joel. Night Garage. Good night, everybody. There was Joel. I think he showed up earlier in the thing. So I want to thank you all. This was a great, 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 and awesome stream. I've got videos coming up. Definitely. I'm just writing them. I don't know how else to explain that to you, but I'm writing them, and that's all there is to it. So it's just taking a long time. But other than that, oh, and Big J Triple X, of course. Thank you, Big J Triple X, for coming. And if things look okay on Thursday, I might make an announcement, and so therefore everybody can show up and we can do a live stream there. I just have to think of a topic. But again, it all depends on what it's looking like. So okay, thank you all. Good night and peace. This is the Garage Autonomist.